Good morning, class. While I normally like to choose something outside our suggested examples for the week, for this week's Fundamentalist Modernist controversy discussion, I chose to explore the Scopes trial further. Being both a teacher and a Christian myself, I find this just to be a fascinating area of study from both fronts. In July of 1925, in the town of Dayton, Tennessee, the 12-day trial went on to stir up both the fields of education and Christianity. There was a growing fear by the leadership of the American Civil Liberties Union, then known as the ACLU, as an anti-evolution bills were introduced to the 20 different state legislators. As a means to test if it was possible to overthrow these bills, Tennessee was chosen as the trial battleground due to their supposed Butler Act. The Butler Act claimed it to be unlawful for any teacher in any of the universities and all other public schools of the states which are supported in whole or in part by public school funds of the state to teach any theory that denies the story of the divine and to teach instead that man has descended from a lower order of animals. The Butler Act was not unique legislation for the time. As the Scopes trial became a nationwide spectacle, the Casper Daily Tribune from Casper, Wyoming, commented on the other states passing anti-evolution laws as well. It states in Oklahoma, for more than 2 years, it has been impossible to teach the evolution theory in the public schools. In Florida, the legislature passed a resolution advising school boards not to employ any instructor who taught Darwinism, and a bill was even introduced making it unlawful to do such instructions. The North Carolina Board of Education will not employ teachers who believed in evolution. The article continues to comment on other states such as Texas, Kentucky, Mississippi, Georgia, West Virginia, Arkansas, Iowa, Illinois, North Dakota, Minnesota, Oregon, Arizona, all trying to pass similar legislation. The Butler Act was not unique in Tennessee. The ACLU put newspaper ads out throughout Tennessee looking for teachers who were willing to appear in court so that they could test the case. It was Ray County high school substitute teacher John Scopes who answered that call. The only background, though, that Scopes had in science was that he filled in for a biology teacher the last 2 weeks of the school year. In fact, Scopes never even taught evolution during his time as a substitute, but the textbook he used did cover evolution of man, and therefore it was sufficient, for the trial. Famed Democratic Party leader and presidential candidate William Jennings Bryan represented the prosecution. His goals was to establish the right of taxpayers to control what is taught in their schools and to draw a line between teaching evolution as fact and teaching it as theory. The New York Times quoted Bryan's sentiments when he said the contrast between evolution and Christianity is a duel to the death. It has been in the past a death struggle in the darkness. From this time on, it will be a death grapple in the light. If evolution wins in Dayton, Christianity goes not suddenly, of course, but gradually, for the two cannot stand together. They are antagonists as light and darkness, as good and evil. The defense was represented by famed radical criminal lawyer Clarence Darrow. His main objective was to focus the attention of the country on the agenda of the fundamentalists in America. For both Bryan and Darrow, the legal issue of Scopes was really not the main issue. The real purpose was to discuss evolution's role in the public school system as a whole. With Darrow's anti-Christian hostility and the close public eye on the trial, fundamentalists feared his ideas would become increasingly popular, an idea that underlined the main fundamentalist modernist controversy. John Scopes was ultimately found guilty of violating the Butler Act, but was acquitted there later by the Supreme Court in Tennessee of a technicality. Nevertheless, his highly publicized trial sparked debate over science versus religion, and in a time it drastically hindered fundamentalist views. I conclude with an argument from the article, The Scopes Trial in Perspective. It claims that by 1925, evolution was commonly used to mean a shifting of certainties, the doctrine that man was continually improving, thus did not need Christian regeneration. The death of all spiritual values to oppose evolution was now a way of lashing out at what was wrong with society. Guys, it was an interesting study this week. I look forward to reading what you guys have yourself. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.